They were drilling for water, but hit oil instead. One well turned into hundreds. A cattle empire turned into an oil powerhouse. And the Waggoner Ranch? It became Texas legend. This is the story of how cowboys struck black gold and built a fortune beneath the hoofbeats. From racing horses to refining crude, from backbreaking ranch work to the rise of Texaco, every moment of this tale is bigger than life. Welcome to Digital Papyrus, where we bring you the real stories behind America's greatest empires. As the 20th century dawned, Tom oversaw a ranch that was already legendary for cattle. But an unexpected discovery would add a second fortune to the Waggoner legacy: oil. In 1902, just months after Tom took full control, the family was drilling for water on the ranch when they struck something else entirely: oil oozing up from the hole. At the time, this was more annoyance than asset. Early 1900s ranchers prized water above all, and crude oil was a messy distraction. In fact, Tom was initially disgusted by the oil find, seeing it as a nuisance, since what he wanted was a reliable water well. Little did he know this black gold would revolutionize the ranch's fortunes. Within a few years, as the automobile age arrived and demand for petroleum exploded, Tom changed his tune about oil. By the 1910s, he embraced the opportunity and even built the Waggoner refinery on the ranch to process their crude. The Waggoner Ranch became a significant regional oil producer. They integrated oil production seamlessly into ranch operations. In fact, during the early oil boom, the Waggoners painted their brand logo on railroad tank cars and oil storage tanks just as they did on cattle, literally branding the oil business as part of the ranch. The Waggoner oil field was prolific and played a key role in the rise of Texaco, the Texas company, in its early years. By the 1930s, cowboy humorist Will Rogers visited the ranch and was struck by how oil wells and cattle coexisted on the range. Rogers quipped that the Waggoner family had an oil well for every cow on their land. It was a humorous exaggeration, but not by much. Even today, the ranch has roughly 1,200 active oil wells pumping away amidst the pastures. Those wells produce on the order of 35,000 to 41,000 barrels of oil each month, making oil a co-equal revenue stream alongside cattle ranching. In essence, the Waggoners struck oil by accident, but they had the foresight to turn it into a long-lasting boon. The oil income helped sustain the ranch through lean times and allowed for modernization and expansion when many other ranches struggled. Decades later, observers would joke that there is no groundwater on Waggoner Ranch, only oil, reflecting the legendary tale of hitting oil instead of water. While not literally true, the ranch does have water sources, the saying highlights how entwined petroleum and ranching became in the Waggoner story. Breeding the best cattle may have been king for the Waggoners, but horses were a passion. Tom, in particular, loved fine horses and recognized their importance to ranch success. Remember those sore-backed horses he had on that 1869 cattle drive? Tom swore he would always have good ones thereafter. He developed a top-quality remuda, ranch horse herd, early on, breeding hardy ranch horses to carry his cowboys. Over time, the Waggoner horse program became one of the best in the nation, so much so that Tom Waggoner was a founding member of the American Quarter Horse Association, AQHAA. In 1940, reflecting the family's influential role in developing the quarter horse breed. Several Waggoners shared this equine enthusiasm. The family kept stables of fine thoroughbreds for racing, as well as stock horses for ranch work. In the late 1920s, Tom made a bold move to put Texas on the horse racing map. He built Arlington Downs, a state-of-the-art racetrack on his farm near Fort Worth. Completed in 1929 at a cost of $3 million, an extravagant sum at the time, Arlington Downs featured a 6,000-seat grandstand and luxurious facilities. Tom was an ardent supporter of legalized pari-mutuel betting, and indeed Texas briefly legalized horse racing in 1933. Arlington Downs had a short heyday, but sadly, Tom died in 1934, and just a few years later, in 1937, Texas repealed the betting law. The glamorous track was eventually sold and later demolished, ending that chapter. Still, Tom had lived to see his dream of Texas horse racing come alive, if only for a moment. Back on the ranch, the quarter horse breeding program truly flourished under Tom's son, E. Paul Waggoner. E. Paul took charge of the horse division and poured his energy into producing outstanding working and show horses. The Waggoner Ranch became renowned in quarter horse circles. They bred horses that could excel in cutting, ranch work, and in the show arena, but above all, they were cow horses, bred for cattle work and athleticism. The most famous horse to come out of Waggoner Ranch was Poco Bueno, a brown stallion foaled in 1944 whose name means pretty good in Spanish, a humble name that proved to be an understatement. Poco Bueno, trained as a cutting horse, rose to dominate the quarter horse world in the 1940s and 50s. He became a Hall of Fame stallion, inducted in 1990, and sired 405 registered foals, including dozens of champions. He was even reputed to be the first quarter horse ever insured for $100,000 due to his high value. When Poco Bueno died in 1969, the Waggoners honored him with a Texas-sized tribute. They buried the great stallion standing upright near the ranch entrance on Highway 283 and erected a 4-ton granite marker engraved with his image and the words, "Champion and Sire of Champions." This grave site remains a landmark, a reminder of how important horses are to the identity of the Waggoner Ranch. In fact, the ranch's horse breeding operation was so respected that the American Quarter Horse Association honored Waggoner Ranch with the Best of the Remuda Award, recognizing its exceptional stock of working horses. Today, the Waggoner horse legacy continues robustly. The horse division, known as the Whiteface Division, is a modern, state-of-the-art breeding and training facility on the ranch. The ranch maintains a band of top-quality quarter horse broodmares and stallions, many carrying the bloodline of Poco Bueno and other famed sires. They use advanced techniques like artificial insemination and embryo transfer to improve the stock. The horses are primarily raised for ranch work. Every cowboy on the Waggoner rides a ranch-bred quarter horse, but surplus horses and special bloodstock are also sold to the public via private sales and auctions. At any given time, the ranch runs several hundred horses. One source noted about 500 horses on the ranch as of the 2010s. From flashy cutting champions to sturdy cow ponies, the Waggoner horses are known for their athleticism and cow sense, carrying forward a heritage that began with Tom's insistence on having only the best mounts for his outfit.